Hi, I'm Shashank Bhargava, and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. In this episode, we talk about a misleading video that Zee News aired about Rahul Gandhi. We also talk about the controversy regarding the documentary Kaali and how the TMC MP Mahua Moitra got involved in it. But first, we talk about SpiceJet. In the past 6 months, SpiceJet flights have faced a series of problems, like smoke filling an aircraft cabin, passengers getting severely injured during turbulence, an engine shutting down mid-air, cabin pressure being faulty, and even a bird hitting one of their flights. And on Tuesday, the airlines encountered 3 more problems on 3 separate flights. And after this, India's aviation watchdog gave it a show cause notice. In this segment, Indian Express's Pranav Mukul joins us to talk about what these latest problems were and why SpiceJet has been facing such frequent issues. Pranav, on Tuesday, 3 SpiceJet flights faced problems. And the first was the one which was flying from Delhi to Dubai. Could you talk about what happened there?
So this flight on a Boeing 737 MAX, while it was cruising at around 36,000 feet in Pakistan airspace, the pilots observed an unusual reduction of fuel from one of the plane's fuel tanks. How this happens is basically through a lot of indicators and signs that are there in the cockpit. And so they noticed one such indicator that was telling them that, there's an unusual reduction in fuel. So taking that into consideration, and also given that the destination Dubai was around 80 to 90 minutes away from where they were at that point, they decided to land the plane as a safety precaution in Karachi, Pakistan. So it landed in Pakistan, and following that, SpiceJet sent a replacement plane and passengers were flown out of Pakistan in some time.
And do we know why that happened? Why the fuel reduced from the fuel tank?
No, not yet. So there's an entire investigation that would be done into this because it is an incident. It is something out of the usual for a given flight. It will be investigated. Initially, what we understood was that there was an indicator light that was malfunctioning. But like I said, an entire investigation would be conducted, and the regulators will figure out what the exact problem was.
Okay, and now let's talk about the second incident which happened on the flight which was going from Kandla to Mumbai. In this flight, the outer pane of the windshield cracked while the plane was at the height of 23,000 feet. How unusual is that?
So it's not that unusual because such things, they're not exactly critical to air safety because modern aircraft are built with a lot of redundancies. But obviously it's something that any airline or the pilots would not have liked to happen, which is why when the pilots did observe that there was a crack in the outer pane of the windshield, like you said, they requested a priority landing in Mumbai and proceeded to land there. They were anyway headed for Mumbai, but they made a priority landing ahead of the aircraft that were in front of them.
Right, this was the second incident that happened on Tuesday. What was the third one?
So there was this third incident on Tuesday itself where a SpiceJet freighter aircraft from Calcutta to Chongqing in China had taken off from Calcutta, and shortly after takeoff the pilots observed that the weather radar on the aircraft was not working. So they decided to turn back to Calcutta and land there again.
Right, and because of these incidents, India's aviation watchdog, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, has now given a show cause notice to SpiceJet. Could you talk about what observations has the DGCA made in it?
Yeah, so the DGCA in its show cause notice that you mentioned has said that there have been various incidents involving SpiceJet from April 1 till the date of the notice, and that have been reviewed by the DGCA. And the regulator said that in its review it was found that there was poor internal safety oversight by the airline and inadequate maintenance actions that resulted in degradation of the safety margins. So like I said, in modern aircraft there are a lot of redundancies that are built in to keep an aircraft safe. So if one engine fails, it is still able to fly for a little while safely on a single engine and land. But of course, the standard operating procedure is that whenever there's an engine failure, you land. So there's that margin of error, the safety margin that's there. But what the DGCA said that with this poor internal safety oversight and inadequate maintenance action, the safety margin has come down, which is why so many incidents have been happening. So that's one thing that the regulator said. And the other thing it said was that, in September 2021, the DGC had conducted a financial audit of the airline. And it had flagged that the condition of the airline revealed that it is operating on cash and carry, at least it was at that point in time, because of which the suppliers and the vendors for various spare parts and components that are required in maintenance, they were not being paid, which was resulting in a shortage of spares. So that is another thing that the regulator had flagged in its show cause notice, and it said that because of this there are some deficiencies that the airline is facing and it's not able to meet the requirements as laid down by the law, which is why it has issued the show cause notice, that you show us cause why should we not take an action against you, and they've been given a time of 3 weeks to reply to this notice.
Okay, so SpiceJet not having enough spare parts because it is not being able to pay vendors is a point that really stands out. Could you talk a bit more about the airline's financial condition?
So, the last 2 or 3 years, almost every airline in the world has been through financial stress. But for SpiceJet, we know that it has particularly been in some financial strain for the 9-month period that ended December 31st, 2021. SpiceJet reported a consolidated net loss of 1,259 crore, around that. This is compared to a 1,028 crore net loss for the entire year ending March 31st, 2021. And the company is yet to declare its result for the quarter ended March 31st, 2022. That's the last quarter of the 21-22 financial year.
And 1,028 crore net loss seems like a lot. And this must be a substantial number, especially for a budget airline like SpiceJet, right?
So, yeah, it is a substantial number, which is why the DGCA is a little bit worried. And like I said, COVID has been really bad for all the airlines across the world. And the recovery process from there on has not been the same for every airline. So some airlines have obviously fallen behind. Some have not been able to compete with their stronger counterparts. So even in India, there have been an airline or two that had been in a financially strong and stable position even before COVID hit. So they were able to take the pandemic period on with some of the financial muscle. But for some airlines like SpiceJet, it was slightly more difficult. And also because SpiceJet is completely a Boeing 737 fleet, in addition to the turboprop Bombardier planes that they have, the 737 MAX issue also affected SpiceJet. It sort of prevented the airline from expanding its fleet and to be in competition the way other airlines had been by adding a plane to their fleet regularly.
Right, and just for the benefit of our listeners, in 2018 and 2019, 2 Boeing 737 MAX had crashed, killing a total of 346 people. One was a Lion Air flight and the other one was an Ethiopian airline flight. And because of this, Boeing 737 MAX were not allowed to fly worldwide between March 2019 to December 2020. And by then, COVID had already hit. But Pranav, talking about SpiceJet, in the past 6 months, there have been 5 other such incidents. Could you talk about what the DGCA had previously said about them?
So this particular story starts in early May when there was a case where SpiceJet flight from Mumbai to Durgapur encountered severe turbulence and a lot of passengers were injured, some of them very severely injured. So what happened after that flight was, as a result of the turbulence, the aircraft was also damaged in some way. But the maintenance control of SpiceJet and the engineers present on the ground, they cleared the aircraft to take a further flight from Durgapur to Guwahati. This is something that caught DGCA's eyes, and it in fact prompted the regulator to ask the question, how was this aircraft cleared to fly when it was damaged? And because of this, the DGCA initiated a full surveillance or a full audit of this SpiceJet's entire fleet. That's around 60 to 70 aircraft. So obviously in that audit, DGCA inspectors found several deficiencies that were flagged to SpiceJet, some of which it addressed. So that's where this has started, and that's what DGCA has also mentioned in its show cause notice, that we've observed that there have been so many incidents, and in our review of these incidents, it's found that you're not doing your job up to the mark, and so tell us why this is, or we'll be forced to take an action.
And Pranav, what kind of authority does the DGCA really have? I mean, can it actually stop an airline from flying?
Yes, technically it can. In fact, the rule and the law that the DGCA has mentioned in its show cause notice is the Rule 134 and Schedule 11 of the Aircraft Rules 1937. So the Schedule 11 of the Aircraft Rules 1937, it basically gives power to DGCA to issue an air operator's permit. That's the permit required by any airline to operate commercially. And in these rules, it also gives DGCA the power to cancel the permit or to suspend it at a time it wants to. Now, one of the conditions that the law mentions is that if the DGCA feels that the airline has failed to establish safe, efficient, and reliable services, it can choose to cancel. But of course, there's this whole procedure laid down where the DGCA must ask airlines for its views why this has happened, and then it can take the action. And why I mentioned this particular clause is because in the show cause notice, the DGCA has said that from the various facts, it may be deduced that SpiceJet has failed to establish a safe, efficient, and reliable air services under the terms of Rule 134 and Schedule 11. And therefore, the accountable manager of SpiceJet has been called to show cause within 3 weeks of the receipt of the notice as to why an action should not be taken against the airline.
And next we talk about Zee News. Last week, Zee News broadcasted a segment which was entirely misleading. The segment was part of its primetime show DNA, which was being hosted by the anchor Rohit Ranjan. Now, Ranjan had been talking about the Udaipur killing, in which two men brutally murdered a man in his 40s. And he mentioned what Congress President Rahul Gandhi had apparently said about this incident. And according to him, Gandhi had called those accused in the murder just a bunch of kids.
आपको राहुल गांधी का वो बयान फिर से दिखाना चाहते हैं जिसमें वो उदयपुर हत्याकांड के आरोपियों को बच्चा बता रहे हैं. आज ये आपको तय करना है कि ये लोग बच्चे हैं या आतंकवादी हैं.
And then they played a clip where Gandhi is supposedly saying that. Here is an audio excerpt of what the channel played.
The children who did this, I mean, they're also children, so it's not fine. It's not a good thing to do, but they've acted in a irresponsible way. I don't have any anger or hostility towards them. They've done a silly thing, and so we should leave it at that. They're kids. I don't think they sort of understand, the consequences of these type of things. So I think we should be forgiving as far as they are concerned.
Now, this is Rahul Gandhi's voice, and these are his words, but here he's not talking about the Udaipur killing. Turns out that in this clip, Rahul Gandhi is actually talking about the student wing of the CPIM vandalizing his office in Wayanad back in June. So this segment was completely misleading and was unfortunately widely shared online, despite Zee News later issuing an apology. Also now, multiple FIRs have been filed in the matter, including one against Rohit Ranjan, and this has led to spats not only between the Congress and the BJP, but also between the UP police and the Chhattisgarh police. In this segment, Indian Express's Jignasa Sinha joins us to talk about the case. So Jignasa, Zee News aired this misleading video of Rahul Gandhi on the 1st of July. When does it realize that the video is incorrect and when does it issue an apology?
So the Zee News aired the video on the show on July 1st, after which the video was widely shared on social media, and soon the channel realized that it was a doctored video of Rahul Gandhi being linked to the Udaipur murder. And on July 2nd, the channel and the anchor of the show, Rohit Ranjan, they issued an apology on social media saying that it was a human error from their side and the entire team is apologetic and it was a mistake.
Okay, so the news channel issues this apology, but then a few days later, that is on Tuesday, police from Chhattisgarh, which is a Congress-ruled state, they reached the residence of Rohit Ranjan in UP. Why does the Chhattisgarh police go there?
So on July 3rd, Chhattisgarh police, they registered an FIR on the complaint of a Congress leader who said that his religious sentiments were hurt and that the doctored video was simply insulting their leader, Rahul Gandhi, and there were sentences in the FIR that it was breaking the nation's unity and it was a step to spread terrorism in the country, and that legal action must be taken against the anchor and the channel for airing such a show. So right after the FIR was registered in the case, a team from Chhattisgarh police was sent to Ghaziabad, where Rohit Ranjan, the news anchor, lives, to arrest him and ask him to join the probe in the case. So on Tuesday around 5 a.m., the Chhattisgarh police reached his house and they were trying to arrest him. but then Noida police and Ghaziabad police came.
Okay, so the Chhattisgarh police is there because of the FIR that was filed by a Congress leader. Why are the Noida and Ghaziabad police there?
So, Chhattisgarh police came to Ranjan's house around 5 a.m. and they were trying to make an arrest, but police personnel claimed that he was being evasive and he was not cooperating with the police. Meanwhile, Ghaziabad police claimed that they received a call from the residents of the society alleging that 8 to 10 men had come to the society and they were harassing the security guard and they were trying to manhandle him and they were trying to enter someone's house. So, based on that call, a team of Ghaziabad police also went to Ranjan's place. And when they came, they saw that these men who had come to the society were in fact Chhattisgarh police people. And then they got into an argument because they were like, why you guys are not wearing a uniform? So the whole scuffle broke out between the two states police because Ghaziabad police blamed Chhattisgarh police for not following due procedure, for not wearing uniforms, for not having IDs and everything. And Chhattisgarh police in return was saying, we are only here to arrest him. We have a legal warrant. Our policemen have IDs. Please let us arrest him. But Ghaziabad police kept saying, no, you don't have any warrant. You didn't take permission from us. And you've just come to arrest him, which seems like an overreach. It's too much. So meanwhile, Noida police came around 9 a.m. and they asked Ranjan that he be taken to the Sector 20 police station because a case has been registered by the Z News against two of his employees, and these two are producers, and Z claimed that because of their negligence and their planning, the show was aired and it was their fault. So Ranjan was initially just called for questioning.
Wait, and this happens when the scuffle between the UP police and Chhattisgarh police is going on?
Yeah, there's chaos all around because Chhattisgarh police was trying to arrest Ranjan. Ghaziabad police were stopping them, saying that you're not following due procedure. And then Noida police came up with a notice saying that we want Ranjan right now. We are detaining him for questioning in the Z News case. And Chhattisgarh police said that we have a warrant and we want to issue him. But then Noida police ended up taking him to the police station after a lot of fight and a lot of chaos.
Okay, so you have the two state police fighting with each other. And then Rohit Ranjan is taken away by the Noida police for questioning. What happens next?
So initially Noida police said they would only detain Ranjan for questioning because the case was just registered against two of the employees. So he was just detained for questioning and they produced him before a court. But after questioning, Noida police said that they are now including his name in the FIR. They said that he's an intermediary and it's imperative that action should be taken against him. He was the anchor of the show. He knew what was happening. So action should be taken against him. And then they arrested him under IPC section 505, which is public mischief. But since the section is bailable, he was later released.
Right. So he is arrested for only a brief period of time. But then after that, does the Chhattisgarh police manage to arrest him?
So the entire day while the Noida police were questioning Ranjan and they were adding his name in the FIR and they were arresting him, Chhattisgarh police was running pillar to post. They were going from Ghaziabad to Noida and just looking for Ranjan. They had no clue. They were not told about anything. We spoke to the SP city who told us that after they reached Ranjan's house, for a moment they were told that yeah, they can arrest him. But then Noida police came in and they just dragged him and put him in a private car and just took him to the police station. After which they were all clueless, the police personnel, and they kept showing their ID cards. They kept showing the warrant which they had from the court, but nobody listened to them. They went to Ghaziabad, but nobody helped them. They went to Noida police and asked them that we want to arrest him, but yeah, nothing happened. And at night, they filed two formal complaints with the Indirapuram police station and the Sector 20 police station against their own personnel that the local staff did not help Chhattisgarh police in arresting Ranjan.
Yeah, and the Chhattisgarh police, as of this recording, has still not arrested Ranjan, though they have reportedly served multiple notices to Z News employees asking them to join the investigation. And in the meantime, the Congress and the BJP, they have been making accusations against each other. So talk about the Congress party first. What do they have to say about all this?
So, since the FIR was lodged by a Congress leader and many of the other Congress leaders also supported his claim that the doctored video and in fact the show was completely misleading, linking someone's comment to an office attack with Udaipur incident was not a simple mistake or a human error, but it was intentional, and it was done in a very concocted manner to frame Rahul Gandhi as this villain, and BJP is just using their power to now shield Ranjan, who's a news anchor, and they're not letting Chhattisgarh police take action. While they had all the legal documents and they had permission, but the BJP did not let their police make arrests in the case. So that's what Congress said, and BJP, though, has been very silent on the issue, but a few of the leaders said that Chhattisgarh police, the move coming to someone's house at 5 a.m. and arresting them was just an absolute misuse of power and overreach, and they're just trying to take revenge. And why wasn't Ranjan issued summons earlier? So yeah.
And Jignasa, has the Z News said anything about the incident so far?
So after Z had lodged a complaint with the Ghaziabad police, they did fire 2 of their employees, a senior producer and a trainee producer, and they pinned the blame on these producers for airing the video, for doctoring the video, for the entire thing, and they said that this was intentional and there's criminal conspiracy involved in this, and they said that Ranjan is just being targeted. He has no role to play in this.
And in the end, we talk about the documentary called Kaali, made by the Canada-based Indian filmmaker Leena Manimekalai. Right now, Manimekalai is at the center of a huge controversy because of the poster of her documentary, which shows the goddess Kaali smoking and holding an LGBTQ flag. Since the controversy started, multiple FIRs have been lodged against her, and she, along with her family and collaborators, have received threats from thousands of accounts online. Plus, the Indian High Commission of India in Ottawa, Canada, have requested the authorities there to immediately withdraw all the provocative material. Earlier this week, Manimekalai wrote online that she did not feel safe anywhere at the moment, that the whole nation wants to censor her, and that India has deteriorated from the largest democracy to the largest hate machine. But it's not just her who is facing threats and police charges. Now, Trinamool Congress MP Mahua Moitra also finds herself involved in this controversy. And this happened after she was asked about the film poster in a recent interview. To talk about what she said and the controversy around it, Indian Express's Santanu Chowdhury, who reports on West Bengal politics, joins us on a call. Shantanu, could you talk about how Mahua Moitra got involved in this controversy regarding the Kaali documentary?
So on Tuesday, the TMC MP Mahua Moitra, she was attending India Today conclave in the city, and she was asked for her opinion on this recent controversy that has been going on. And she said that everyone can, perceive the goddess in their own way. And she said that to her, the goddess Kaali was a meat-eating, alcohol-accepting goddess.
Kaali to me is a meat-eating, alcohol accepting goddess. To me, that is the version of Kaali. And if you go to Tarapet and around all of them, you have all the sadhus smoking, all of that. That is the version of Kaali that people worship. So I think within Hinduism, being a Kaali worshipper, have the freedom to imagine my Kaali in that way. That is my freedom.
So that's what she had said, and this has been the reason for BJP leaders raising demand for her arrest for hurting the religious sentiments of the Hindus, because they think that the statement was not right and she must withdraw it and she must apologize for it and police action must be taken against her. So that's what she has said during that India Today conclave, which happened on Tuesday.
And now BJP leaders in the state have been raising objections and filing complaints against her. But have any FIRs been registered against her yet?
So in West Bengal, this is not an FIR, because in West Bengal, the BJP has lodged several complaints against Mahua Moitra. You can say that over hundreds of complaints have been registered in various police stations across the state. But the thing is that the police are yet to take those complaints and turn it into an FIR. So that's the difference, because what we have come to know that one FIR has been registered against her in Madhya Pradesh. That's what we have come to know about that. But in West Bengal, there are complaints seeking her immediate arrest and action against her. Even the BJP has issued an ultimatum, say that it would give the state police 10 days to take action against her, or on the 11th day, they will move the Calcutta High Court seeking action against Mahua Moitra.
Okay, and how has her party, TMC, reacted to this controversy, and what have we heard from Moitra herself about this?
On Tuesday, when she made the comments, and the TMC was very quick to distance itself from the comments, and the party said that no, it doesn't endorse her such kind of views. She made the statement in her personal capacity, and the party doesn't endorse it. And the official Twitter handle of the Trinamool Congress had put out a tweet in this regard. Mahua Moitra, on the other hand, said that she did not support any film poster, or she did not support anyone having a different perspective. She said that it was her version, or how she perceived Goddess Kaali. So that's what she said, and she said that the BJP and its trolls are making a big issue out of it, and they are spreading fake news that she was supporting that movie or supporting that poster, which was not true. That's what she said. And in Wednesday, when the BJP leaders were demanding her arrest and lodging complaints against her in several police stations, she said that she was not afraid by those kind of actions or those kind of trolls that are coming against her. She said that she is not afraid of their goons. She is not afraid of the police. She stood by what she said, and she said that I believe in the Goddess Kaali and Jai Matara, she said. So she is clearly not denying the fact that she just said those things casually. She is standing by it, and she believes in what she has said.
And Shantanu, as someone from Bengal yourself, could you talk a bit about the Goddess Kaali in terms of what Moitra said? How does that resonate with people from the region?
Yeah, because you have to see from the perspective of animal sacrifices. Because you have to see that, it's very common in Hindu religions, if not that common, but it's not rare. It happens in Hindu community because animal sacrifice is practiced in several states, like in Assam, in northeastern states, in West Bengal, in Odisha. These are some of the states where animal sacrifices take place, and the meat from that animal is usually offered to the goddess. So from that perspective, what Mahua Moitra has said is not false. What we can say from the rituals practiced in our households or in such certain temples when the Kali Puja is performed. So these are some of the rituals that takes place. So she's saying the same thing in a bigger platform.
And she also talked about alcohol being part of the rituals as well. Could you talk about that aspect?
Yeah, because, in Birbhum, there is a Tarapit temple. It's located beside a burning ghat. Because the goddess Kaali is very much, worshipped by the tantric section of the society. And in some of the temples, in some of the tantric section, even alcohol is offered to the goddess. So that's what she said. Every section of the society or every section of the Hindu community or Hindu religion, some people celebrate or perceive or offer puja in their own way. That's what she meant. In northeastern states or in West Bengal or in Odisha, every sect, even the tribal community, they offer meat to the goddess. So it's not like that the goddess Kaali is, everyone will perceive her in one way or in another. It's like everybody offers puja in their own way. So that's what she meant.
So Shantanu, considering how popular Goddess Kaali is in Bengal and the fact that the BJP has been trying to come to power in the state, do you think this controversy could go against the party?
It could, because Goddess Kaali is a very popular deity in West Bengal. Maybe after Goddess Durga, Kaali is most worshipped in West Bengal. Even the Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee also, worships that goddess, and every year there's a big puja in her house, and ministers, MLAs and party leaders visit there and offer their puja. And in most of the households, the Goddess Kaali is worshipped. Even the BCCI President Saurabh Ganguly is also very fond of the Goddess Kaali. He performs puja at his house. So given the Bengali sentiment there is, this could go against them, because people here love Goddess Kaali and they offer pujas, and in most of the cases they also offer meat. So this could go against them.
You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was written and produced by me, Shashank Bhargava, and was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it, share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.